Welcome to all. I am Surya Kantarte, Assistant Professor, Shiv Shankar College of Agriculture, Engineering and Technology, Mirza. Today we will see about the long-term runoff harvesting techniques. Long-term runoff harvesting is done for building a large water storage for the purpose of irrigation, fish farming, electricity generation. It is done by constructing reservoirs and big ponds in the area. The design criteria of these constructions are given as watersheds should contribute a sufficient amount of runoff. There should be suitable collection site where water can be safely stored. Appropriate techniques should be used for minimizing various types of water losses like seepage and evaporation losses during storage and its subsequent use in the watershed. There should also be some suitable methods for efficient utilization of the harvested water for maximizing crop yield per unit volume of available water. The most common long-term runoff harvesting structures are first one dugout ponds and second one embankment type reservoirs. We will see about the dugout ponds. Dugout ponds are constructed by excavating the soil from the ground surface. These ponds may be fed by groundwater or surface runoff or by both. Construction of these ponds is limited to those areas which have land slope less than 4% and where water table lies within 1.5 to 2 meters depth from the ground surface. Dugout ponds involves more construction cost. Therefore, these are generally recommended when embankment type ponds are not economically feasible. The dugout ponds can also be recommended where maximum utilization of the harvested runoff water is possible for increasing the production of some important crops. This type of ponds require bricklining with cement plastering to ensure maximum storage by reducing the seepage loss. Here, illustration is given on the dugout pond. For this given dugout pond, there is a inlet and outlet. Silt pit is there to trap the fine sand particles at the bottom. Around the dugout pond, there is a earthen embankment to confine the water inside it. So this is one of the type of long-term runoff harvesting technique. So runoff water is harvested in that pond and it can be used in the remaining duration or season for irrigation or some other purposes, or this pond can also be used for recharging the groundwater. The second type is the embankment type reservoirs. These types of reservoirs are constructed by forming a dam or embankment on the valley or depression of the catchment area. The runoff water is collected into the reservoir and is used as per requirement. The storage capacity of the reservoir is determined on the basis of water requirement for various demands and available surface runoff from the catchment. In a situation when heavy use of water are expected, then the storage capacity of the reservoir must be kept sufficient so that it can fulfill the demand for more than 1 year. Embankment type reservoirs are again classified as according to the purpose for which they are meant. First one is the irrigation dam. The irrigation dam are mainly meant to store the surface water for irrigating the crops. The capacity is decided based on the amount of input water available and output water desired. These dams have the provisions of gated pipe spillway for taking out the water from the reservoir. Spillway is located at the bottom of the dam, leaving some minimum dead storage below it. Next one is the silt detection dam. The basic purpose of silt detection dam is to detain the silt load coming along with the runoff water from the catchment area and simultaneously to harvest water. The silt laden water is stored in the depressed part of the catchment where the silt deposition takes place and comparatively silt-free water is diverted for the use. Such dams are located at the lower reaches of the catchment where water enters the valley and finally released into the streams. In this type of dam, provision of outlet is made for taking out the water for irrigation purpose. For better result, a series of such dams can be constructed along the slope of the catchment. Next one is a high-level pond. The dams are located at the head of the valley to form the shape of a water tank or pond. The stored water in the pond is used to irrigate the area lying downstream. Usually, for better result, a series of ponds can be constructed in such a way that the command area of the tank located upstream forms the catchment area for the downstream tank. Thus, all but the uppermost tanks are facilitated with the collection of runoff and excess irrigation water from the adjacent higher catchment area. The next is the farm pond. The farm ponds are constructed for multi-purpose objectives such as for irrigation, for livestock water supply to the cattle feed, or for feed production. The ponds should have adequate capacity to meet all these requirements. The location of farm ponds should be such that all requirements are easily and conveniently met. Next one is the water harvesting pond. The farm ponds can be considered as water harvesting ponds. They may be dug out from embankment type. The capacity depends upon the size of the catchment area. Runoff yield from the catchment is diverted into these ponds, where it is properly stored. Measures against seepage and evaporation losses from these ponds should also be considered. Next one is a percolation dam. These dams are generally constructed at the head without the provision of checking the percolation loss. Thus, a larger proportion of runoff is stored in the soil. The growing crops on the downstream side of the dam receive the percolated water for their growth.